PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to PLD Projects. Welcome back to Holy Snokes. I feel like it's been forever. It's only been a week.
It's been a week, dude.
I know. It always feels so long when I don't get to talk to you, on camera, on air, all that stuff. Talking in DMs just isn't enough.
I was going to say, we talk like every other day.
Well, welcome, of course. We're finally back. We got stuff to talk about because we took our sweet time doing like reviews of Bad Batch, reviews of Tales of the Empire. We said, screw the news. We're just going to go right into it because we have long topics. And man, the news articles kind of back up on us.
So this episode is my comeuppance.
Is that what it is? Your comeuppance?
Folks who watch the show will remember we specifically said we're toning down on the news. We're like not gonna do the news as much. But this old fucking news hound over here.
It's me. I like
can't help himself.
I can't. Well, you know what? Every week we do our episode. We always do a little bit of news, and I always go to Star Wars News Net the night before our show. Yeah, like Tuesday night. I record on Wednesday. I do Tuesday night. I go, okay, what's been going on since last week? And I kind of get a couple of bits we can talk about before we get into whatever our main topic is today. Well, I decided to try to do that last night, and that was like 3 weeks worth of news because we had the Bad Batch finale to talk about. We had Tales of the Empire to talk about, and then we took last week off. So we had 3 weeks, and I went, oh my God, there's a lot of stuff we can talk about. So much I don't even think we can talk about it all. So we decided,
and we won't.
We won't. You're right. So we decided to cut through the chase, and we're like, okay, what's going to happen here is we're going to have just a news episode, a full-on news episode. We're going to talk about all the news that's dropped the past 3 weeks and react to it, have discussions about it. That is going to be our main topic. It's almost like I feel like we should have had a main topic to talk about for the first 10, 15 minutes and then get into the news. It's almost like a reverse episode. But
I've got a topic we can talk about. I've got a couple we can talk about.
Oh, do you?
The fact that you almost ruined Acolyte. You almost ruined my streak. You were almost Brock Lesnar.
That is a lie. That is a vicious lie. Vicious rumors. You asked me for the news document. You asked me specifically for the news document.
Because I wanted to proofread, make sure you didn't put any in bullshit about people being happy about being in Star Wars.
That's true. That is right. You should do that. I know more. I don't even do that anymore. I got sick of talking about that.
You saw there of your ways. I was like, Paul, please. I can't do it no more. I'm letting the show down. Me sitting here just like, So I open up this Google Doc. I had to find my password for my Gmail account because I forgot it. I look in the Google Doc. First thing I see, Acolyte. I just start scrolling like I'm swiping on Tinder.
Look at how big that says. Look at right on the screen. Look how big the Acolyte header. You could scroll that pretty quickly without reading the rest. Can't you? Come on now.
Is it gone?
It's gone. Oh my God, Matty, you or something else.
I hope you didn't have anything unsavory on your browser and your tabs when you opened up that document.
I'm a professional, Matty. I don't do any of that stuff on this computer. Welcome to Holy Snokes. I am your host, PLD. This is, of course, is my compatriot, my co-pilot, Matty Gunner. We skip right over it. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing all right. I had a pretty cool, as our friends on Foresight, I like to say, Star Wars adventure this week.
Yeah? Tell me about it then.
Yeah. Sunday. Well, Sunday's technically the weekend. I got to be on Foresight now.
Okay. That's right. Yeah, I remember that.
No big deal.
Ken and Joseph did do their phone-in situation.
They started doing phone-ins.
Ken started out on his own channel doing his stuff with phone. And I got to say, I'm a little mad at Ken Knapsack because he always seems to put these call-in shows at a time or date where I cannot join in, and I get mad at him. But,
brother,
but you know what?
His live show is at like 2:00 in the morning for me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. But I understand. I understand what it is. So I'm sorry I interrupted you. Talk about your appearance on Force Center.
Yeah, it was really cool getting to talk about my love for the Phantom Menace. How the T-shirt I am wearing got a mention on there of Jar Jar Binks as the Misfits, the Crimson Skull. Just talk about our love for the Phantom Menace, our experiences seeing it for the first time, and how I kind of relate it to my dreams of not living and dying in my hometown, my dreams of grandeur, and being in a band and as a performer and everything else that I've done that has led me to this point in my life, and how I relate that to my love for the Phantom Menace. And it was a really good conversation. Ken and Joseph. Unfortunately, Jennifer couldn't be there. She had family commitments, I believe. But we got surprisingly deep, and it was. I mean, it's not surprisingly for them, but when you put myself and Ken Knapsack in a room, it's nothing but jokes and hilarious wisecracks, mostly from him, but I have a few of my own every now and again.
Upper crust sandwiches, basically.
He's all we talk about his upper crust sandwich. I mentioned within the first 10 seconds. But
no shock.
But we did go surprisingly deep and surprisingly somewhat emotional. And yeah, it was. And I said to them right at the start, and it wasn't a kissing their asses because they're our friends. Being on a podcast that like I have listened to for years, and like we've been around Ken and Joseph, like we've hung out with them, like away from Star Wars and like as a personal thing.
Right.
I was still like, holy shit, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me how cool it can be talking about Star Wars with like-minded people.
Absolutely. I totally agree on that point. It's because you find everybody talks shit about like social media and things like that. And, of course there is definitely a downside to social media for sure. But one of the good things is like, you really find your people, like you have friends around you grew up with, but nobody, like I was always the Star Wars friend in my group of people. Like I could talk Star Wars with people, but no one was as like obsessed as I was. Social media, we kind of found those other Star Wars friends from people and make our own little community, which is always a good thing. It's always fun to have that with us. And Ken and Joseph are definitely part of that. Absolutely, 100%. Interestingly enough, got two add-ons to that. Speaking of Force Center, next week we're going to have the one and only Ken Knapsack on this show, return appearance. This time with a not an episode. We're not talking about an episode of something. He was last on to discuss the Bad Batch. We're going to chat about stuff. We have a topic in mind. I think it should be good for going into the Acolyte the following week. Without spoiling Matty, we're not going to spoil Matty. Don't worry, I promise. The second big Star Wars adventure I had this week was I got to co-host a show with Nerd Chronic, Eric Rodriguez, on Passion Fruit. They're crossing the stream.
Oh, you're on that.
I actually got to co-host that with him. And Eric and I got to talk to a lot of different Star Wars community people. Kyle Katarn was there. We had Lacey Gillerin from Marissa's point of view. We had from Marissa's broadcast. Sorry, we had Frankie Numbers there, Laura Kelly, a bunch of really cool Star Wars.
That was my invite.
You have to ask Nerd Chronic. I'd have to say, I don't know.
Eric, well, come on, man. Eric, brother, come on.
And it was great talking about different things.
Kidding.
Well, we talked about the Acolyte, so you wouldn't want to.
Is that out already?
It is not out yet. It's going to be out. It's going to come out soon-ish.
It's going to be on the Reactiverse channel, right? Or is it the Passion Fruit channel?
Passion Fruit channel. And he said, it's going to be coming out on the 3rd to coincide with the release of the Acolyte. So it was a great conversation. I got to tell you, it was a great conversation. A lot of fun. Michael Tesler from the Real Rejects was there also, who I work with, obviously, on their channels. It was really kind of cool to see him in a different aspect again. So, yeah, really, really great time.
We talk about people who is like, you can open up the dictionary, look up the definition of the man. Nerd Chronic is like one of those people. Like, you open up the dictionary, look up the definition of the fucking man. Nerd Chronic is one of those people.
110%. Obviously, you guys know him from Schmodown. He did all the editing there. He edits like half the internet, I think. He does editing videos.
Him and Brian Ward.
Seriously, so if something out there, it's either edited by him or I got a thumbnail from Brian Ward. Absolutely. So, all right, let's move on then, I guess, until anything else last you got to say before we break into all of our news we're going to talk about.
No, let's get her done.
Get her done. Got a big bunch of stuff to talk about. Let's start with the Acolyte. I have one bit of Acolyte news I'm going to talk about that you don't want to hear, so get your book and go zen.
I have a very special book.
And I'll let you know. And I'll very special book. The Book of the Sith. Very nice. I remember that's an older one.
As you were.
Yes, I were. Okay. As I were. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about the Acolyte is the SFX article that came out. A lot of conversation about a lot of different things, actually. But I would specifically want to point out a few quotes that really made it, really kind of made it important to read if you want to know what you're getting into. And here we go. The Acolyte follows the story of a mysterious assassin who is bumping off Jedi Knights one by one, alternating between an investigation by multiple Jedi and a disturbing attack on the Jedi Order, and a parallel narrative explaining the assassin's training and motives for wanting to target Jedi near the end of the High Republic era. In other words, it's a mystery from the perspective of the Jedi, but more of a character study from the perspective of our apparent villainous protagonist. And producer Rain Roberts explains. Sometimes we are in the Jedi point of view, and sometimes we get to be in the point of view of the mysterious assailant. You might have thought something happened one way, but it's like, oh, wait a minute. That was a fun idea that Leslie Headland wanted to flesh out when we're developing episodes. It really speaks to the way her brain works. I tell people she has this puzzle brain, and if you look at her storytelling Russian doll, there's a puzzle that starts to unfold. Part of the way that puzzle unfolds in the Acolyte is through those Rashomon points of view. Now, Rashomon is an anime series that I have never watched it myself, but the article explains that it takes a murder and shows 4 different perspectives on that murder to kind of follow different people's perspectives on what went down. So obviously multiple point of views on one incident or so. It's an interesting vantage point. I think I could see where they're going with this. This means to me that we're going to have a great Jedi point of view. We're also going to have this dark side point of view. I'm not going to say Sith because I don't know what it is. I think that's a phenomenal way to do this. We saw that in The Last Jedi, even though it confused some people, the whole Luke and Ben situation where Luke decided to take out his lightsaber against his nephew. There was the Luke point of view where he was just kind of impulsive, but he was never going to do it. There was the Ben point of view where it was like he was a Sith demon monster going to slice him in two. And then there was probably some place in the middle. Yours, mine, and the truth. I like that aspect of things. I love seeing how different people have perspective. So having that for a full series during a murder seems phenomenal, especially with the, spoiler alert again. This is a spoiler even for people beyond Matty. I don't know if you wanted to see this. So I'll give you a good 5 count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Skip now for about 30 seconds. We have that possibility of the twin side. Obviously, it looks like there are twins. Amanda Stenberg, if you watch the trailer and the subtitle did give a second name of a character. We had May, we had Osha. So it does appear that those rumors are going to be true. We are going to have twins involved. That's it. But seeing different perspectives from that, I love that aspect. So that's what I want to burst through really quickly while Matty reads his book. And we'll go forth. And I'll bring Matty back so that we can talk about the rest of the news articles. Matty, if you're done with your Sith book, I just sent him a message. He'll be back. So when he gets there, I will let he will join us when he is ready. The next bit of news we're going to talk about is Amandla Stenberg's detailing intense training. She has a great love for Star Wars. She's a great love for Star Wars. Matty, welcome back. Are you good? Is your book good?
I've read about it a zillion times, and anyone who has seen a certain video of me auditioning for a certain show will recognize the book that I was holding.
Fair enough. Okay, we have moved on to Amandla Stenberg detailing intense training. One of the things I loved about Amandla Stenberg is that she is one of us. She's a big-time Star Wars fan. She showed up at Celebration wearing Padme gear. She talks about it. She wants to know much more about it. And I found this article funny because she says this. This is her quote from her that I want to read. I was such a pain in the ass for producers when I got there. I'm just a really analytical person, and I have to dive deep into everything and gather as many pieces of information as possible in order not to freak out, especially when it comes to taking on something like Star Wars. I remember saying something along the lines of, well, Hayden Christensen trained for this amount of weeks, and I'm only training for this amount of weeks. And they were like, it's going to be fine. You're going to work with your master, and it's going to be okay. Tell me how passionate she is, how much she knows about the articles. She knows that Hayden and Obi and you and like training forever on for their lightsaber fights. The fact she wants to have that kind of commitment, that kind of detail. I love that for her, and I can't wait to see how she develops.
You know who the last person to be like that was?
Who is that?
Sam Witwer.
It's
very reminiscent of how Sam Witwer came into approaching Darth Maul. Obviously, we have the story of Matt Atlanta gives this really like emotional and deep speech about like he's talking to Shmi in the scene in Clone Wars where Anakin's talking to Shmi, and he says that, you know, I have a wife, I want you to meet her. Right. And then Sam Witwer turns and says, you got to rewrite that. Padme already met Shmi.
Right. Yeah.
And apparently it was just like stunned silence, and Dave Filoni was like, oh.
You're right. Holy shit, he's right. You get to, if you get to one off, if you get to warm off Dave Filoni with knowledge and with lore, then you know you just did something that's a little difficult to do.
You know what I mean? Like, she's coming in with that level of passion and that level of, you know, fandom, and like she's going to the convention. Like, she knows the stories.
Absolutely.
You know, she's been to, you know, Celebration dressed as Padme. She is the same. She's one of us. So I don't want to hear bullshit from people being like, oh, they pulled in people that don't like Star. Fuck off.
Fuck you. Yeah, I get it. I same thing. She is totally one of us. I do want to go on quickly. She also mentioned her relationship with her martial arts master, Liu Zhongshang. Said cool. It was so rewarding. Liu Zhongshang said it was so rewarding. I never had a relationship to martial arts before, but my master was very patient with me and just a delight. He guided me firmly, but with a lot of joy. As we continued filming, I got faster and faster at learning sequences. So by the end of the show, oftentimes I was learning sequences on the spot, and then we would film them. It was incredible for me to acquire that ability. So, one last bit I want to talk about Amandla while we're here. Star Wars.com Star Wars.com put up an official video about Amandla, who is an accomplished violinist, basically using her time with Star Wars wisely. Talks about wanting to play on her violin the Star Wars themes, and she got them recorded. So they record a video of it. Not only does she ask to do it and get permission to do it, John Williams
wrote.
Did arrangements.
John Williams made lead part for her.
Personal arrangement of the Star Wars themes for her. Like, if John Williams wrote me anything, that thing will be tattooed all over my body. I don't even have tattoos. That's impressive. That is how John Williams tells you, here, I wrote this for you, or I arranged this for you to play.
Like,
oh my God.
The only thing that could have been better was if he was in the room with her, conducting her while she was playing it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only thing that could have been better. My God.
Obviously, he's what, 90, 91, 92 now? He can't be like ferried him around for all these different media appearances these days. We want to keep him as preserved as we possibly can.
Absolutely. But it's just a joy. It showcases how much she loves the franchise and how much she loves the saga in general. So, and I gotta say, she's a very accomplished violinist. Like, I listened to her play. It was beautiful. So good for her. Good for him. It was a great moment there. So, okay, Matty, we are done with the Acolyte. We're okay. We're done with all the Acolyte.
Cool.
I did
that out of your system.
We did. I got to say, you saw a brief glimpse of my news document. I kind of, because there are so many news bits, I just basically grouped them all into like little chunks of important things. So the next bit of news we're going to talk about is from all the new Jedi Order news we got over the past couple of weeks. Of course, the new Jedi Order film starring Daisy Ridley and who knows who else at this point, written by Stephen Knight, is going to be the next, directed by Charmaine Obi-Chinoy. It'll be reportedly the next film after The Mandalorian and Grogu. That's what the I mean, that can always change. In fact, I've heard rumors that they might swap with James Mangold's film, but we know that this one is in place at this point to be the post-Rise of Skywalker storyline. The first bit of news we got was Stephen Knight was asked about it during an interview, and he said that writing is going well. He says, I can tell you I'm doing it. It's going well, yes, but I'm getting into that universe, and it's a wonderful universe. I love it, and it's good people. Again, when you get to that level, you find that the people who are there for a reason. Now, I want to say quick off the bat, like it feels like he's been writing this forever, and it's partially true because he was starting it before Strikes. He was supposed to end it before Strikes, but couldn't end it before Strikes. But I gotta tell you, at this point, we must be like into several drafts at this point. That's what it feels like, because at this point, he must have. Because I think Davey has read something at this point. But if he's still going back and forth with a few drafts, he's still feeling this way about it. I feel like we're going to be hitting the end game soon, and it's good to hear him talking positively about the people involved and how much that's accepting.
Yeah, he's also working on the alleged Peaky Blinders movie, which Cillian Murphy keeps dancing around, even though now they're doing 28 months later, 28 years later?
8 years later, yeah.
28 years later. So Cillian's going to be working on that. So I don't think Stephen Knight's going to be working on that film anytime soon. He's doing his show set in Ireland, which is about the rise of the Guinness Empire. He's working on that at the moment.
He is a busy man. Let's be honest. He's a very busy man.
It's great. It's great to see because he does great work. Anyone who has watched Peaky Blinders, I swear by that show. I think it's one of the best shows ever made, and his writing on it is fantastic. So I have no reason to believe that this film won't be just as good.
I agree. I'm excited about it. I'm very excited about it for you, for us, for you.
I love that for us.
Blinders fan, for all of us. So,
what if Rey comes into like a scene? She's like, by order of the Jedi, fucking order.
Chef's kiss. The first F-bomb in Star Wars. That would work. That would work.
That would be the first F-bomb in Star Wars, huh?
It would be.
We haven't had one yet. Has Marvel had one? Marvel have had one, right?
I think Marvel's had one. If they haven't, then Deadpool and Wolverine's going to fix that pretty soon.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, they almost did. Did you watch the Andor special features?
I did. They were going to drop it. I remember that they were going to drop that, and they did.
You don't hear it,
right?
But you see Marva word the
right.
You see her say fuck. You see her word it.
Let's be honest with you. R2D2 and Chopper both have said it several times. We just didn't understand them. That's for sure. Let's be honest with ourselves here.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, moving on to some more new Jedi Order stuff. I got some interesting. This is definitely a tidbit that's not very important. It might not mean anything, but it is kind of an interesting take on where they might take the movie. They had a release of Disney World, some kind of collectible that had quotes from Rey, and one of the quotes was a post Rise of Skywalker quote, talking about her taking on the legacy of the Skywalker name. And the quote was, I came from something evil. Sometimes I still want to run from that, but I've learned that there are things stronger than blood, and that the smallest light can push back the deepest darkness. Luke Skywalker was my master, and so was his sister Leia, and her son Ben gave his life for me. I took the Skywalker name to honor them and their legacy. Ben was right about letting go of the past, but not about killing it. My task is to make something new, not by killing the past, but by building on all that's good in it. The early Jedi sought to bind the galaxy's wounds. They looked at what was broken and saw how to fix it. When I read that, I thought, well, I'm good at that already. Maybe you heard, I'm all the Jedi, so I've got that going for me. And Rey Skywalker. Now, there's a bit of it that's kind of like, that's on the nose. Definitely things that they do on Disney World and stuff. That's definitely
I love it.
But it does make sense to showcase on what the plan might be. Now, they could totally, Steve and I probably have never even seen this, and they could definitely cancel anything about it. But if you're looking for some kind of possible direction, this makes sense. This makes sense to me. She gets to just explain why she chose the Skywalker name and what she's going to do. She's going to build upon Luke Skywalker's legacy. I think that's the proper way to go. I think it's the way to. I think the whole Rey Skywalker thing was overblown. People hating that for I don't even know what reason. I still am threatening to make a video on that someday if I ever do video essays. So I loved this quote. I think this is exactly what we need to do on it.
Lord help us all.
If I ever get into that, oh, Lord help us all is right. But do you have any thoughts on that?
I just love how Daisy loves to subtly like rub it in the whole Skywalker thing. Like she's doing it. She's been like properly media trained as a professional as she does, but like she knows what she's doing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. Last bit of news from the New Jedi Order is another Daisy Ridley bit. And speaking of being media trained, she was specifically asked in a new interview when she was promoting something else. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry. I got all my news from Star Wars News.net. It was a late night, so I'm sorry I didn't source everything out completely. But it is an article from Star Wars News.net. I love them. They do a really good job sourcing out the facts, the fiction, the speculation, the rumor, everything else.
Pretty sure you already said at the start of the show.
Yeah, I know. I just want to give them another plugs. That's how much I love them.
Okay.
You know,
they're going to sponsor this show.
They really should. They really should at this point. In the interview, Daisy Ridley was asked about the possibility of working with John Boyega again.
Oh, God, here we go.
Now, we know this has been a back and forth for a while. We know that nothing has been announced. We know that John Boyega had after the sequels were done, had a kind of a not so wonderful relationship with Lucasfilm, as far as he was not very thrilled about where his character ended up or what his character got to do. But then there was a time that some people seem to forget that he definitely had a meeting with Lucasfilm that kind of cleared the air, kind of paved the way moving forward. And after that, he kind of backed off on some of his criticisms and was satisfied with things. So with that being said, there's been rumors that he's going to come back, obviously from many different places, but nothing official yet. She answered that question about possibly working with John Boyega again. She said,
for the 10 millionth time, she said she can't wait to work with him. It'd be great to work with John again. I'm not sure what they've got planned. I've only read one part of the script. I haven't read the details. I've only read. Is that along the lines of what she said?
Close. She said, would she want to work with it? Absolutely, of course. It feels like we should reunite. Yeah. So I think actually it's a little more poignant than usual. She's basically saying, I want him in the film. And I think we should be in the film. So
because he's in the film.
Right. That's what it seems like to me. I don't know what they're waiting for. They're waiting for a big announcement somewhere along the way. I don't know. Maybe some kind of big appearance. Maybe they're waiting for Celebration to announce them. I don't know. Either way, I thought it was newsworthy enough just to kind of bring in. So.
I want to sit down with someone in the media space, right? And I want to ask. This has been take any question. I just want to find out why this happened in current media. If a question has been asked 1,000,001 times, why do you think that you'll get a different answer from asking 1,000,002?
Sometimes you get hit and you get lucky and the person's feeling punch drunk. Sometimes you get the feeling maybe it's the day that you're allowed to go slip through. I don't know. Kind of looking for those clicks, looking for those bites.
That's not even a bite. That's not even a nibble. That's like I'm just like, I get it's a valid point for us to talk about on the show, but you see how I pretty much got her response?
Yeah, pretty much, pretty close. Not gonna lie, absolutely. Well, all right. Let's move on. Let's move on to our next topic of discussion. This one is an interesting one because it possibly is a slip. During that same SFX article that we talked about, the Acolyte, one of the producers, Simon Emanuel, who executive produced Acolyte, also was producing Rogue One, a Star Wars story, et cetera, was talking about some of the upcoming Star Wars movies, and he let us slip about something. It's a quote, and I don't know if it's. I'll say the quote from there. No, it's about James Mangold's movie.
Okay.
It says James Mangold's Jedi Prime is set thousands of years before the original trilogy, and I'm really excited to see what happens there. Now, that's the first time we've heard any kind of actual possible title. Jedi Prime being a potential title. We heard Dawn of the Jedi before. We know that Dawn of the Jedi is the name of the era. But this is the first time I've heard anything like that. I don't know if it's a working title. I don't know if or is it a slip and that's the actual title? If it is the actual title, Jedi Prime. What would you think on that?
Are they going to release it on Amazon Prime instead of Disney Plus?
Okay, it's gonna be that'd be fun. That'd be funny.
Is the mission to deliver something to a nearby temple within 24 hours? Is that what it's called? I flat out refuse to believe that like, okay, it's been well documented on this show that I have a problem with the titling of a lot of these projects.
Yeah,
The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Mhm.
I get it. The name is on the tin of what the movie is about. It can't be any more blank than that. But Jedi Prime. Why would they call it Jedi Prime when the Jedi haven't even been created yet? You
This is
can't
the
be in
story
your
of the first
prime.
Jedi.
I
I think
can't
it's
be in your prime when you haven't even started yet.
right, but there's another definition of Prime, which is like the first
Optimus.
member. Prime is like also can be considered like it's. I get that Prime is also. I understand what you mean by that, but it's also is a definition of like of first importance. So this is the first thing they're doing. So Jedi Prime being like the first time the Jedi have come to any kind of prominence. I think that's what the word title is going for. I don't love it either. I got to be honest with you, and I'm with you. I don't like a lot of titles. But I haven't liked a lot of titles since the Lucas days. I mean, hell, I still don't love Attack of the Clones. I mean, it's just kind of like a weird title in a way. We're used to it now. We're used to it, so it's not like a big deal anymore.
I
But
never thought about that until you just brought it up. But yeah, Attack of the Clones kind of makes it look like the clone. Like, think of like Attack
Send in the Clowns, Attack of the Clones. Like it's what it feels like, right?
You think of like Mars Attacks, right?
Yeah.
The Martians were attacking us, like
right. Or even like even though it's a blank slate. I mean, I'm gonna say it. Think about this. They got Star Wars as your first movie title. The second movie, the cheesy The Empire Strikes Back. That's the name of your movie.
I like that.
I mean, it works for what it's trying to do, but it's still a little cheesy. It's still a little out there. I still like the title.
But that was back then.
We also have the benefit of 40, 50 years kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I can give a shit. I just want a good movie. I don't care if you call it Jedi shit. I'm gonna go watch it and have a good time with it. Probably, unless
we're gonna go watch some Jedi shit.
Unless,
we are gonna go see.
I don't want like two Jedi one cup or anything like that. But as long as we get.
But one thing is for certain, we are gonna see some Jedi shit.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. We're gonna see some Jedi shit.
I and how would a dude from SFX know what a title of the movie?
No, this was the producer of the Acolyte who was talking.
Okay, but
the quote was from the producer of the Acolyte. He also produced Rogue One. He was talking about upcoming Star Wars films.
Okay,
so he might be involved.
But has the film even started shooting yet?
I think it's definitely been written. If the rumor is at this point that it might go before Rey's movie, and I got to figure that it's definitely further along in production. I would think it's not further along, but far enough along in production to have a title potentially.
Don't call it Jedi Prime. Don't. If it's about the formation of the Jedi, don't even put Jedi in the title.
Right.
Don't. I get that using the word Jedi is the selling point, right?
Right.
That's going to be the big marketing thing. It's going to be like the formation of the Jedi as they're ascending to power. Don't put it in the title.
Right. Absolutely.
Call it something cool.
It's not going to be cool. I got to say, as much as I love Star Wars, their titling has never been cool, especially in the Disney era, especially the TV shows. My God, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, it's just like kind of like the Acolyte is probably the closest thing we've had to a cool title, to be honest with you. Everything else is kind of like so. I fully expect something like Jedi Prime.
The holiday special.
The holiday special. I expected the Dawn of the Jedi. That's what I really expected. So
I don't know. I'm not a fan of that.
I'm not a fan of that either. But that's the type of nondescript title we've been getting from Disney, and that's like my knock on the whole Disney thing is that their titles are not the greatest.
Why just call it Star Wars? It's a new Star Wars film. Just call it Star Wars.
Well, they did have like 500 Star Wars titles, though.
So? No one cares.
Imagine that we had 500 movies and they're all titled Star Wars. Yeah. So which Star Wars are you talking about? Are you talking about this Star Wars, this Star Wars? This one or this one? You got to have some kind of title. Something.
Yeah. Just be like Star Wars, the one where they find the Jedi for the first time.
So we're taking an order from Friends now. We're taking a page out of the Friends book.
Do it like It's Always Sunny. Feel like the Jedi, this, and this. The gang goes to New Jersey. The Jedi go to God, now I want Danny DeVito in Star Wars.
Well, I'd like that anyway because I love Danny DeVito. To be honest with you,
Oh, can you imagine Danny DeVito as like a droid?
Absolutely good. But I wouldn't want to waste him as a droid. I'd want to have him be some kind of like creature, some kind of alien or whatever.
Complete side tangent. Someone said, I think it was Wario, that Danny DeVito wants to play in the new Mario movie. Someone said, don't even animate him, just put him in the movie. I was like, yes.
I love it. I'm here for it. Absolutely. Well, all right, that's it. That was a quick drop there. Let's move on to our next bit of news. The next bit of news we got to talk about is something that's exciting to me. Probably some of the more exciting news we're going to talk about today is Skeleton Crew, which we haven't talked.
Skeleton Crew.
We haven't talked a whole lot about, obviously.
Ain't been much to talk about
because there hasn't been a lot. Absolutely, there's not been a lot to talk about. We did get a few bits and drips and drabs to talk about. I'll talk about the non-exciting news first because this is some of that. Well, somebody's on the show and they're praising the show. But it is interesting to hear about Kerry Condon, who has kind of blown up with like the Banshee of Shireen and all the stuff like that. She's in the show in an undisclosed role, but it does seem like she's been involved in a lot of it, according to this quote. She was asked about it, and she said, "It's so great. I don't even have kids, but I'd pay to see this. I loved it. I loved being on it. There's something about it that was so innocent and playful and lovely. People say don't work with kids or animals, but I don't know about that. When the children are good actors, they're kind of out of this world good. So watching some of the kids' scenes, it was amazing. Jude Law's in it. I worked with him before, but it's really adventurous, and they got such great directors for each episode. The Daniels, Bryce Dallas Howard, Lee Isaac Chung, David Lowery. It was a pretty amazing group alongside John Watts, who created the whole thing. So yeah, it's a little word salad, but I do like hearing that kind of positivity from her. Like she kind of went beyond, I think, the usual sound bit in terms of praising. It felt like genuine praise. It confirms everything we've talked about as far as like the topics going, being that whole Spielbergian, Amblin feel to it. I don't know what she's going to do.
With acclaimed child actor Jude Law.
Acclaimed child actor Jude Law, yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you get anything out of that? Is it more word salad for you, or do you like it?
It's kind of what's Skeleton Crew is the one where I'm just like, cool, bring it on, because that is definitely something new. Like Acolyte, we know it's a murder mystery. Like, go back to the Clone Wars, right? We had the murder mystery of the Senators. Like, it's something that we have technically seen before.
Right.
A Star Wars, Amblin, Goonies style, Stranger Things almost show. This is brand new territory.
Right.
And I'm all here for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we know it's connected obviously to the Mandalorian, but it is still definitely, it feels still kind of new, especially genre wise. So I do like that. Going beyond that, we had some, I would say, more important news that come place from Skeleton Crew, something to talk about. We have a more solidified release date. It was obviously been rumored to be the end of this year, and John Watts actually confirmed that, not giving us an actual date. But he had he was speaking with Collider. He stated the upcoming series will premiere sometime around Christmas or December 25th. The holiday actually falls on a Wednesday this year, so that might be an interesting time to start. If they wait that long, they actually do it
Christmas Day.
25th. A Christmas Day start. I mean, it does have that kind of family feel to it, so maybe it might be a nice fit for it. I don't know.
Alex David might have hit the nail on the head. It could be it's like a show around Life Day.
Absolutely could be. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I know one of the actors, I forget who it was, who thought they were shooting for November, but this does make a lot of sense to me as well.
Have any of them other than Jude said anything?
There was, I can't remember the name. The only one. There was one other actor who had said something to the effect, or somebody who worked on it who said that he thought they were aiming for a November date to capitalize on the holiday season. So maybe at that time that was the idea, but now maybe they said, you know what? Hey, ding, 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 Life Day, Christmas, let's do it all in one day and do it then. Yeah. Of course, the only bad thing about that is, I mean, we were waiting a little longer than I anticipated, but hey, it's only another month, so I'll make do. Especially because I'll have that September. I'll have a little bit of some Star Wars to digest with the Lego, the 4-part animated Lego series that they're doing there with Darth Jar Jar. I love Rebuild the Galaxy.
That's coming out, right? We're talking about that.
Yeah, in September.
Mm.
Rebuild the Galaxy, 4-part animated special with the kid from Stranger Things, Gaten Matazzaro, is voicing alongside, I guess, Tony Revolori is voice acting, Bobby Moynihan, Mazzari Martin,
Yes.
Michael Cusack,
Tony
Ahmed Best,
Revolori.
and Mark Hamill. Of course, back as Luke. So I think it's gonna be a fun show. I love the Lego stuff, and I can't get enough of it. So, but yeah. So, but back to Skeleton Crew, December 25th. I think that'd be kind of a fun Christmas present for all of us. So, in the same article, also John also had a very interesting drop of information for me, at least. He stated, it's about a group of kids that find a mysterious secret on their planet and accidentally get lost out in the galaxy. And it's the story about them trying to find their way back home. I got to use all the cool stuff on my most recent Star Wars show. We had previs, mocap, we shot in the volume, we did everything. But the most fun part was we also used all the old school techniques as well. We got Phil Tippett to do stop motion.
Sick.
We did matte paintings, the real old-fashioned matte paintings. And we got an ILM painter out of retirement to come out and do that. So to me, all that stuff is fun.
Who? Did they say who?
It does not say. It says we got an ILM painter. So I love the sound of that. I mean, I'm not one of those haters for technology and the volume and all that kind of stuff. But give me a little bit of both, and you have Phil Tippett doing some stuff for you.
Bro, Phil Tippett doing stop motion. We're so back. We're so back.
I'm like, this is exactly what I want to hear from some Star Wars shows. So that's exciting to me. It's very exciting to me. So
again, the stop motion, I love it. I love
it. Not necessarily, but we got a little bit of everything. So yeah, I'm excited about that, and I like also that we don't want to brush over the synopsis, the slightly newer synopsis. We didn't know about the mysterious secret on the planet. So that's an interesting add on to that. So obviously they leave the planet and they're trying to come home. Okay.
It's Hondo. Hondo is the secret.
That's hey Hondo. I got a secret for you.
Hello, my friends.
Hello, my friends. I know some Jedi.
He's got to show up, right?
Why am I sounding more like Watto when I do it now?
You do. You sound more like Watto. You got to try and do it more like Antonio Banderas.
I'll do more. I was just swaying into that direction. I don't know why. All right. Last bit of news from Skeleton Crew was that there's a tie-in product that was like some kind of ingot from Skeleton Crew that was showcased. And the reason why that's important is it did showcase our first actual image of the kids.
Well, it got leaked?
It did. It was, I don't know if it was, I think it must have been leaked or something to that effect, but I know I focused on the picture. I don't know.
Yeah, let me look at this.
I'll actually show the picture right here. I'll share my screen. Here we go. I don't know if you can see.
It wasn't Lego, was it?
No, it was not. It was a different thing. It's an ingot. That was the thing. This is the picture that was on top of the box. So this is our first look at the kids, including like an F-on Mon, it looks like, has our other kid there. Very interesting looking kids. I think I love the one there with the glasses and the silver hair. I love that look. I think it's all very cool. I think it's very exactly what I want to see from a Amblin type show.
It was HMV that leaked it. Interesting.
Okay, that was.
HMV is it's like a record DVD Blu-ray chain over here. It's funny enough because I got Tool's last album a day early from them, and I used to they have a habit of putting things on shelves before they're supposed to.
Gotcha.
So that makes sense. That looks cool. Yeah, there's the ingot thing. I'm looking at it here. Yeah. Who's that? Who's the guy that looks kind of like Ultron? Who's that dude?
That's a good question. I don't know. Is that going to be Jude Law's character, or is that the bad guy? I don't really know. It's hard to say.
You know what I mean? He looks kind of like Ultron.
He does. No, he does look like a cyborg. Because looks like a cyborg a little bit. Absolutely, something to that effect. But I do think it also could be Jude Law with a helmet on, potentially, depending on what's going on. We don't really know. So, but yeah, it could be
Max Rebo's kid.
Yeah, exactly. That's something. Is it Max Rebo's kid? Look, we don't know what he did afterwards.
Max Rebo totally has kids that he doesn't know about.
Oh, 100%. That dude's a baller. I mean, he's got groupies left and right. Absolutely.
Max Rebo fucks.
All right, sounds good. Uh, all right, let's move on. Then got some more news to talk about. I'm not going to talk about this, but I do want to pitch. If you go to Star Wars News Net, if you are a big Bad Batch fan, because there was a great article that talked about. It was like looking back at the finale, and it was quotes from D. Bradley Baker, from Michelle Ang, from Jennifer Corbett, from Brad Rao about a whole gamut of things. The pot, why they didn't kill anybody off at the end, what they did to Crosshair, all the love relationship between all the clones and everything. If you loved Bad Batch, you will get a lot of information out of there. There was actually so much information I could probably do a whole episode on just these quotes. So I'm not going to do that today because this is kind of our news catch up week. But I do want to point out that if you do love the Bad Batch, I would definitely go find that article from May 24th. It's a wonderful article. May 1st, 2024. That's when it was. I know it was when it was. It went out and talked a lot about different things. And so, yeah, I would definitely just point out that if you're a fan, go check it out.
I'm not ready.
I wasn't.
I'm not ready to say goodbye.
I was tearing up, so I too am not ready, and will probably never be ready. To be honest with you, never be ready. Be completely honest with you. Another piece of quick news. We had Rebels. This is one of my favorite bits of Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you, of course. News that happened. We finally got the release of the soundtracks for season 3 and season 4.
They heard you a few weeks ago, dude. You manifested this. They listened to our show. They heard you passionately, somewhat angrily say that you were pissed off that the soundtracks went up, and you got it done.
I finally did. I remember being very excited. I woke up and found the Kiners tweet about it. I'm like, oh my God, it's about time. Because there was such a hole in my Spotify library. I love the Kiners work on Rebels, and especially season 3 and season 4. So it's about time, as they say.
Okay. There was 2 days, right? When on Spotify, if I went onto the Mourner page, the related artists were the Kiners. That was you.
Probably.
Because I was like, huh?
That probably was it.
Compared to the Kiners.
That's probably it. That's probably absolutely it. So.
That was you.
It was me.
It
was me all along.
It was PLD all along.
It was PLD all along. That's me, not Agatha. Screw Agatha. It's PLD all along.
I will say, quick side tangent. I do love what they did with the Agatha show. Of like they kept putting out all the different titles, and then they announced, "Haha, suckers! These are the episode titles. They're not the titles of the show." So everyone was getting up in arms about, "Oh, what's this show going to be called?" And they're like, "No, dumbass! These are the episode titles."
My God, that was so clever. It was so clever. Good for them. I'm glad it was very fun, and
I don't think I'm going to watch it, but I still think it's pretty clever.
I guess it didn't do its job then well enough, but I probably will, because I actually did like Agatha from WandaVision and everything else. Although I got to say, I definitely had some Marvel-itis a little bit. I actually still haven't even watched Echo, which is the first time I didn't watch a Marvel show when it came out.
Echo was cool.
I'm gonna watch it. I will eventually, but like I used to be like, oh, it's out. Let's watch it. Like as soon as it comes out, if it dropped all of them, I'd watch them. Like I wouldn't like binge it in one night, but I was like by the end of the week or 2, I would have gotten it done. This one, like what, February, and here's May, and I haven't even touched it yet. I'm like, oh, I'm watching this show. I'll watch it after. Who knows? Although I know Marvel is moving away from needing to watch everything anyway. That's their new rebrand they're trying to do. You don't have to watch everything to get everything done, which is probably for the best overall. For the casual viewer, I know the hardcore viewer loves the idea of going through it all, but it'd be nice to be able to go, I don't really want to watch it. Oh, I want to watch this. Oh, I'll watch it when I get to it, kind of thing. It makes it worthier for it. It makes less pressure on the audience, which I think is a good thing. So
I'll watch anything with Vinny D. If Vinny D's in it, I'll watch it.
That is fair. All right, let's move on to, I want to talk about, speaking of Star Wars Day, the Phantom Menace release had some interesting developments, interesting news. $8.7 million box office opening over opening weekend. In terms of comparisons, only Avatar's 2022 re-release of 10.5 million was ahead of it. That means it beat releases of Titanic, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home, and even Return of the Jedi 2023. So a successful release, but if that's, I mean, they ended up making like 15 million at some point or something overall. It displaced Frozen 2 as far as the 44th highest grossing movie of all time. All right, good to know. But more importantly, I think that's nothing to sneeze at. A $15 million box office haul for a movie you can get on Disney Plus, and for a movie that's been available for 30 years or whatever it is, 25 years. That's the anniversary, right? 25 years.
Yeah.
One of
I definitely was not 2 when the Phantom Menace came out.
25 years. Wow. That means to me, I think we're gonna get more of these because that's what did
Attack of the Clones is next.
Right. I mean, honestly speaking, why not? I mean, they didn't have like they had to do a whole lot of revamping for this. They did just kind of cleaned it up a little bit, put it in the theaters, and boom, there it is. And he made $15 million. Okay. That's phenomenal to me.
And people say that Disney Star Wars isn't successul.
Yeah. Hey,
was that just domestic or was that worldwide?
That was, I believe that's the domestic numbers.
Hey,
no, global haul 15 million. The global haul 50 million at that point. So
that's just opening weekend too.
Yeah. Opening weekend, look, 15 million was opening weekend and then Monday's haul as well. But either way, I haven't checked it since then. But I was interested, especially that it actually made more than Return of the Jedi, even, which is impressive. And it leans into the other article I read about this. I'm not going to add as a specific news bit, but to add on to this, did you know that according to Variety, The Phantom Menace is the most viewed Star Wars movie on Disney Plus?
Prequel justice, baby.
Justice.
Prequel fucking justice.
Justice is done. Oh man, yeah, it is, and it's good.
What did Ken call that generation when I spoke to him? Old cusses.
Cusses, some of the old cusses like that. Yeah, something to that effect. Yeah.
Fuck the lot of you.
Well, all right. Speaking of prequels and speaking of Phantom Menace, Ahmed Best was in the news. Now, this is again one of those pie in the sky kind of things we tend to stay away from because, of course, everybody wants to be in Star Wars, everyone wants to do Star Wars, but this one specifically has a place in your heart, I think. I don't know if you saw this one or not.
I did see this one, yeah.
Okay. Wants to make a Jedi John Wick movie with Keller back.
I'm in. I'm in. So, day one.
I love all he says about this too. I keep putting this out there. I want to do a Jedi John Wick as Keller Beck, and I don't even need to say any words. I just want to do 2 hours of lightsabers and people in the way. I really want to do something like that because the fight I did for Mandalorian is 0.1% of what I could do, and there's so much more. I was just talking about this. The style that influences Keller Beck is from Filipino martial arts, and nobody really knows very much how deep those arts are.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the Jedi are Japanese samurai influence, but the Filipinos beat the samurai and they beat the Spanish. The way they move, the style that they move, and the weapons they use are revolutionary. And so much so that a lot of what Bruce Lee does in Jeet Kune Do is influenced by Filipino martial arts. So I really want that to be highlighted. There was some kind of Jedi story. I don't know. That'd be up to you. I have no idea.
Disagree. Strongly disagree. A lot of it was Japanese jiu-jitsu, Chinese boxing. Out of respect for Ahmed Best, I will let that comment slide.
Okay.
But as someone who has a Bruce Lee tattoo, who has spent his entire life worshipping at the altar of Bruce Lee, I will respectfully disagree.
Okay, that's
with Ahmed Best on that point.
You know more than I do about that, to be honest with you. So.
But I like where his head's at. Just
Jedi John Wick with Keller Beck. I don't know where it would fit in, how it would work, but give it to me. I'll give it to you. I'll take it.
Speaking of titles, how cool of a title would The Sabered Hand be for a film?
That would be cool. I do like that. I do like that quite a bit. So,
Star Wars: The Sabered Hand.
Yeah,
that's a title.
That is a title. I'll take that as a title. Absolutely.
And I think because like in the Jedi Challenge show, it was kind of a joke.
Right.
It's like, they used to call me the Sabered Hand, and they were all like, yeah, sure, of course they did.
Right. Okay, a couple of last bits of news. We are starting to wrap things up here slowly but surely. George Lucas turned 80 years old recently and had a good party at Skywalker Ranch featuring
That was
Mark
our
Hamill,
invite.
Harrison Ford. Yeah, where was our invite?
Harrison left the house.
Harrison left the house for it, so it must have been a big deal. MC'd by Steve Martin. That should have been a lot of fun at Skywalker Ranch, so that's been pretty cool. So happy birthday to the creator. I'm glad you're still kicking it. I'm glad you're still around. I hope you are living and loving life and just having a blast because you deserve it. After everything you've done for us, after everything that some parts of us have done to you, we love you. We do love you. So have a good one, my
The thing,
friend.
one day we need to do an episode on our favorite George memories, our favorite George moments.
I like that. Yeah, I like that idea.
I can tell you right now what one of mine would be because it's been doing the rounds again on
documentary,
social media. Yeah, where he just appears in the background. He sees there's a camera, so he knows something is being filmed. He looks deadpan at it, and then just turns and walks away.
How could that not have been staged? I don't know, but hey, what do you want to say? Speaking of George, it came out through Pablo Hidalgo, who has definitely lessened his social media presence, but then he kind of disappeared for a while. He kind of come back a little bit here and there. I was happy that he came back for this because it's kind of tackles some of those haters we don't like, who are like, oh, Disney sucks, bring it back to Lucas. Lucas never would have done this.
Oh, people like Critical Drinker.
Stuff like that, absolutely. Lucas reportedly was a fan and consulted on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. He stated on a quote from Pablo Hidalgo, early on, there was a conversation had with George about what his thoughts were and whether or not he bought the whole concept of taking Obi-Wan and Vader again, and he was 100% supportive. I've heard that it's been one of his favorite things to come out of Star Wars because he recognizes so much of what he did in the prequels basically brought forward and celebrated in a way that I'm sure surprised him.
What else is there to say?
So all you people, Obi-Wan and Vader can't meet again after Revenge of the Sith before A New Hope, that ruins it, it's a retcon, blah, blah, blah. George says it's fine. And it's his story, so, I don't say this often, and I'm sorry, hold your ears, but go suck a dick. Yeah, I love it.
I say this all the time. You can't argue with the maker. You cannot.
You can not like something the maker does, and that's fine. I don't say you have to love every decision he's made. But as far, especially about his canon goes, it's his story more than it's even our story. So if he is okay with it, I'm okay with it. Not that I had a problem with it in the first place. So
they're gonna be, and I know I've started naming names.
I heard that. I did hear that.
Yeah. I'm gonna start naming. This is my resolution in this new kind of era of the show. Is I'm not holding shit back.
Fair enough.
I love that there are all the Red Eyes channels are gonna see this and be like, "Oh, there's no way." It's like, just keep peddling your rage bait. The maker himself is on our side, so fuck you. Fuck the lot of you.
You realize though that this Sith raid is the reason why we're not going to get the invites that Molly and Alex got and that Cal Catine got over the course of the year, going to the filmmakers roundtable with or the Acolyte discussion. My God, they're lucky.
Why aren't we going to get those invites?
They don't want negativity. Disney doesn't want negativity on our.
Oh, so that's why Star Wars Theory wasn't invited, right?
Well, yeah, exactly.
I didn't see him in any of those pictures, so we must be
Matty,
pretty
he's
high
not
on
a Disney shill. He's not a Disney shill like all the rest of them are.
No, he's not Disney. I can't wait for someone to call me a shill for the first time. I can't fucking wait.
I'll fully admit you right now.
And by the way, these are my words. I'm gonna give the disclaimer of these. My words do not reflect on PLD projects, and
that's fine.
That disclaimer, I'll just give that disclaimer now. But I don't care anymore, dude. I really don't care. With the Acolyte coming out, I know there's going to be so much shit getting flung at this thing, and this show seems like it was written for me. I'm going to defend this show to the fucking death, even if I don't like it.
Hey, by the way, Disney, if you are listening or watching, I am up for hire. If you want, I will show. I absolutely will show.
So. Yeah, dude. And you are closer to LA than I am for now.
For now. Not for long, but for now. Speaking of Disney and Disney Plus series, another interesting news bit I found from Star Wars News Net is that according to some reports, the Star Wars Disney Plus series actually have had staying power. There have been some talks about not being the most successful things, or every talk about ratings, et cetera, et cetera. Graph was made and observed that the 4 Star Wars series, which were The Mandalorian Season 1, Mandalorian Season 3, Ahsoka Season 1, and Bad Batch, made up about 15%, more than 15% of the viewership share of Disney Plus originals between December 29th and May 10th. Now, that's big. There's this chart that they showcased. The biggest one is Percy Jackson Olympians, which makes sense because it was released during that time frame.
I need to watch that show.
Echo is the second one, which is higher because, again, it was released during that time frame. Bad Batch and X-Men 97 were both released during that past time as well. But as far as all these other ones go, these were series like Ahsoka, Mandalorian Season 3, and Mandalorian Season 1 were not released during this time. So the fact that they have large chunks of percentages, Mandalorian had 3.3%, Mandalorian Season 1 had 2.6%, and Ahsoka had 3.6%. Those are good percentages for series that are not debuting at that time. That means they have a certain staying power. And interestingly enough as well, X-Men 97 has obviously gathered a lot of media attention, a lot of positivity, and rightfully so. I love the show. I can't wait for Season 2 to come out. I think it's been one of the best things.
Oh, are they doing a Season 2?
Yeah, they're definitely doing Season 2. Oh, absolutely. But interestingly enough, to me, this is what just interests me, because you compare that to the reaction to the Bad Batch, which has been kind of muted. People have liked it, the Bad Batch, and actually the people who watch it have loved it, but it's not getting the same kind of media attention, obviously. Interestingly enough, Bad Batch is not that far behind in viewership share. X-Men 97 got 6.8%. Bad Batch got 6.3%.
Yeah, that's 0.5%.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, it to me, that's like, wow. It means that it's right there with X-Men, which is good. I'm happy for it. And it means that Star Wars, even if it means that it's staying power is important to me. I think you watch something and never come back to it, then is it really happening? I mean, is it worth it? Is it worth the film it's shot on, and the digital stuff, whatever you want to call the digital thing it's shot on? But the Mandalorian and Ahsoka being that high up there still showcases me that there is some staying power for Star Wars, and that's a good thing for the streaming service, and it's a good thing for Lucasfilm and stuff moving forward. So I like that. That was an article that made me smile. All right, last bit of news that we will talk about is the Mandalorian news, Mandalorian and Grogu specifically. Before we get to that, really quick plug. Mandalorian Adventures board game is coming out, and I love me some board games, so I'm going to try that. More than video games. I don't do video games anymore.
What's your favorite board game?
Oh, God, of all time, that's a tough one. I love Good Settlers, a Catan guy from a way back when. I love a good game of Risk from back in the day. Axis and Allies was a great one from back in the day. I love this game called Mystery Mansion, which is like this building block.
Oh, I know Mystery Mansion. Yeah.
Love that game when I was growing up. Labyrinth. Was it Labyrinth? Some kind of wizard game I used to play with a lot of cards. I can't remember the name of it. My friend had it. It was like just a circle. You go lower and lower into the labyrinth, and you had to be creatures, and you became a character. I don't remember what it was called, but it was very Talisman. That's what it was called. Talisman. I just love that game as well. I love.
I'm old faithful Monopoly. Monopoly is.
That's fair.
Who's your go-to when you play Monopoly?
I usually was the car.
Okay, I was the top hat.
Oh, that's good. That's fair. I've done the top hat once or twice. I was like one of my backups, I think. So I was never the thimble. I didn't really want to be the thimble. That's what I couldn't be. So that was a quick thing about that. That's just for me. I know we talk about video games a lot. I'm going to talk about that real briefly. I'm excited about that. But our final bit of news we're going to talk about is a big one. This was reported initially by Jeff Snyder, but picked up by the Hollywood Reporter and all that, and all some of the other trades. The Mandalorian and Grogu. We have a famous person that's in talks to star, and that famous is the legendary Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, is this okay? I saw something about, because obviously Star Wars has been muted within my social media timeline and presence. So I saw something about. I think it was Alex and Molly. I think they were mentioning something about. Oh no, it was Force Center were mentioning Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, it's definitely been in the news. I'm sure that's a good name. I mean, the fact that they're talking about it this early on suggests to me that is a sizable role. A lot of times, if it was like a smaller role, like the announcement would come out like a month before the movie comes out, or something, be kind of last minute things, like you're getting cameos or something like that. This seems to me like it would be a significant role. And so, as Jeff Snyder put it, it actually impressed me to think about. This is the first big casting news we've had in a Star Wars movie in forever. I can't really count Daisy Ridley, because Daisy Ridley coming back is not news. This is like the first since Richard E. Grant and Kerry Russell joining Rise of Skywalker. That's the last bit of news as far as casting from somebody who's never been in a Star Wars project before. I love the fact that Sigourney Weaver out there. She's a legend. She, of course, Ripley will always be one of the greatest heroines of all time and action heroes. And obviously she's a little older now, so she probably won't be doing that much action comparatively, but you never know. I'm excited that she's going to be in it. I think get that kind of talent in a movie. I don't know what she would play. I'm not sure. Would she be someone potentially be in the New Republic? Would she be in, I don't know.
I thought I had one, and I was just looking up to see if this character was still alive.
Oh, yeah? Who?
Sabine Wren's mother, Ursa.
Oh, that would have been a great casting.
That was so cool.
Right. But she's probably not alive at this point, is she?
No, she perished in the Night of the Thousand Tears.
That's right. That makes sense. That's what I thought. So, okay. That would be cool. I mean, she could be a Dathomirian Night Sister, potentially. I could see her doing that.
It's Mandalorian. She's got to be a Mandalorian, surely.
I don't know. I have a feeling she's going to be a New Republic, a rebel kind of resistance leader kind of thing, potentially. I have a feeling she's going to do that, but maybe not. Maybe she'll be the villain. Maybe she'll be the villain of the piece.
Maybe.
I can see that happening as well. Somebody who's opposing Mandalorian and Grogu for whatever reason. But I love the fact that she's in there. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
I hope that's the case. So, all right. I guess that should do it for us. Do you have anything last news you want to talk about? Anything last?
No, we talked about what's happening next week. No, I'm good.
All right, then that will do it for us. Matty, where can the folks find you?
Guys can find me right there at Matty Mourner for the audio listeners. You'll find my band Mourner, Mourner, on all streaming platforms. Our new song Out to Get You is out now. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, you can find me at Paul _Denuzio on the old Twitter and all our social media, PLD Projects. You can find me all over this channel, of course, Holy Snokes every week. We got the big blue box every week now with PJ as we talk about the new season of Doctor Who. Can't wait to dive into those. Had some great episodes so far. Really happy about that. Then we'll go back into Two Mediocre Way Twos on film for John Wick and for Nightmare on Elm Street sagas, both. And then what else we got going on? We got review every other week with Lego as I go through the V franchise. I'm going to do another script reading soon for the aborted effort by JMS, J. Michael Straczynski, to bring V back to the small screen back in the early or late 80s, I should say, that didn't quite make it off the ground, but we do have the first act we can read. And of course, what else do I do? I do Crown Jewels for Queen every week on that. This week's episode, I believe, is Dreamer's Ball, if I'm not mistaken. If I can't remember, I always do at the time, and it's a Brian May and Freddie acoustic kind of thing. I don't know, actually, I have to say it's one of the albums it's one of the songs from the Jazz album that's I'm recording recently.
Oh, that would be why I don't really remember it that well.
That's fair. That's fair enough. Actually, you know what? I think this week it's actually going to be Fun It, Roger Taylor's first track from the Jazz album. Interesting. Either way, go check it out. It's on my sister's YouTube channel. It's also on its own audio channel. Speaking of audio channels, we are now on our own audio channel. Holy Snokes has its own audio feed now. It should be in the show notes there. So take a look there if you want to find us on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Patreon.com/PLD Projects. Join us. You can tell.
Have you announced the thing that we're going to be doing soon yet?
No, I have not made the announcement.
That close to the chest.
We're keeping it a little close to the chest so far. Okay. We're not going to say anything yet. Got some interesting news to talk about soon. Thanks for that. We will talk about it soon, but not quite yet. Next week, though, maybe we'll talk about it next week, potentially, because we do have a special guest on our show on Holy Snokes next week. As I said, up in the air, up on top of the show, I should say, Ken Knapsack will be joining us next week here on Holy Snokes. But until then,
you won't be hearing me talk very much because I'll just be sitting there like, yeah, ha, 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 tell me more.
Well, that's it then for now. Until then, as always, folks,
may the Force be with you. Always.